Sheet. Globalization and the United Nations UN. Globalization and the United Nations UN are deeply intertwined, with the UN serving as a pivotal institution in navigating and shaping the complexities of our interconnected world. As globalization accelerates economic, social, and technological integration across borders, the UN plays a multifaceted role in promoting global cooperation, managing challenges, and advancing collective responses to shared issues. Here's an in-depth exploration of how globalization impacts the UN and vice versa. Understanding globalization. Globalization is a multifaceted phenomenon characterized by the growing interconnectedness and interdependence of societies and economies on a global scale. It spans various dimensions and impacts diverse aspects of human life and global dynamics. Here's a comprehensive look at the definition, dimensions, and implications of globalization. Definition. Globalization refers to the process by which societies, cultures, economies, and nations become increasingly integrated through global networks of communication, transportation, and trade. It involves the movement of goods, services, capital, technology, ideas, and people across national boundaries. This interconnectedness is facilitated by advances in technology, particularly in telecommunications and digital infrastructure, which have accelerated the pace and scope of global interactions. Dimensions of globalization. 1. Economic integration. Trade and investment. Globalization fosters increased trade flows and investment across borders, facilitating the movement of goods, services, and capital. International trade agreements, such as those under the World Trade Organization (WTO), promote tariff reductions and trade liberalization, enhancing economic efficiency and market access. Global supply chains. Companies increasingly source inputs, manufacture goods, and distribute products across multiple countries, creating complex global supply chains. This integration allows for specialization, cost efficiencies, and access to new markets, but also exposes economies to external shocks and disruptions. 2. Cultural exchange. Cultural homogenization and diversity. Globalization facilitates the exchange of cultural practices, beliefs, values, and lifestyles among societies. While it promotes cultural diversity and hybridization, it also raises concerns about cultural homogenization and the erosion of traditional identities and practices under the influence of dominant global cultural trends. Media and communication. Digital technologies enable instantaneous communication and the dissemination of information worldwide. Social media platforms, streaming services, and digital content contribute to the global spread of cultural products, entertainment, and news, shaping global public opinion and cultural narratives. 3. Technological advancements. Information technology. The digital revolution has transformed how information is created, shared, and accessed globally. Internet connectivity, mobile communications, and digital platforms facilitate real-time interactions. E-commerce, online education, telemedicine, and remote work, bridging geographical distances and enhancing productivity. Innovation and research collaboration. Globalization promotes international collaboration in scientific research, technology development, and innovation. Universities, research institutions, and multinational corporations collaborate across borders to advance knowledge, develop new technologies, and address global challenges such as climate change, public health, and sustainable development. 5. Flow of ideas and information. Knowledge-sharing. Globalization facilitates the exchange of ideas, best practices, and expertise among researchers, policymakers, and practitioners worldwide. International conferences, academic journals, and online platforms promote knowledge, dissemination, and capacity building in diverse fields, ranging from medicine and engineering to social sciences and the arts. Policy influence. Globalization influences national and international policy agendas. As countries seek to harmonize regulations, address cross-border challenges, and promote global governance, international organizations, including the United Nations, UN, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund, IMF, play key roles in shaping global economic policies, environmental standards, and development agendas. Implications of globalization. 1. Economic growth and development. Globalization has contributed to economic growth by expanding markets, fostering innovation, and integrating developing countries into the global economy. It has lifted millions out of poverty through increased trade, investment, and access to technology and education. However, globalization also exacerbates income inequality within and among countries, posing challenges for inclusive economic development. 2. Cultural diversity and identity. While globalization promotes cultural diversity and the sharing of cultural heritage, it also raises concerns about cultural imperialisms and the dominance of Western values and consumer culture. Local cultures may face pressures to conform to global norms, leading to cultural homogenization and the loss of traditional practices and languages. 3. Environmental sustainability. Globalization impacts the environment through increased resource extraction, industrial production, transportation emissions, and deforestation. Efforts to mitigate climate change and promote sustainable development require international cooperation, regulatory frameworks, and technological innovation to address global environmental challenges and promote sustainable practices. 4. Global governance and policy coordination. Globalization necessitates effective global governance mechanisms to address transnational issues, such as pandemics, terrorism, cyber threats, and financial instability. International organizations and multilateral agreements provide platforms for countries to coordinate policies, negotiate agreements, and uphold international norms and standards. B. The role of the United Nations UN. Foundational principles. The UN was founded in 1945 in response to the devastation of World War II, with the primary goals of maintaining international peace and security, promoting cooperation in solving international economic, social, cultural, and humanitarian problems, and advancing respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. The UN Charter embodies principles of sovereign equality, peaceful dispute resolution, non-interference in domestic affairs, and collective security. Impact of globalization on the UN. Multilateralism and diplomacy. Platform for dialogue. The UN provides a forum for member states to engage in multilateral diplomacy, negotiation, and consensus building on global issues such as climate change, public health, terrorism, and disarmament. It fosters cooperation among nations with diverse interests and perspectives, promoting dialogue to address complex challenges that transcend national boundaries. Global policy framework. Globalization amplifies the need for coordinated responses to transnational issues. The UN facilitates the development of global policy frameworks and agreements such as the Sustainable Development Goals, SEG's Paris Agreement on Climate Change, and Conventions on Human Rights to guide collective action and promote global stability and sustainability. Peace and security. Conflict prevention and resolution. Globalization can exacerbate tensions and conflicts over resources, identity, and governance. The UN's peacekeeping operations, mediation efforts, and conflict resolution mechanisms address root causes of conflict and promote inclusive peace processes. Peacekeepers from member states collaborate under UN mandates to stabilize fragile states, protect civilians, and facilitate post-conflict reconstruction. Security challenges. Globalization has brought new security challenges, including cyber threats, terrorism, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The UN Security Council addresses these threats through resolutions, sanctions, and international cooperation, underscoring the importance of collective security and adherence to international law. Development and sustainability. Promoting economic development, globalization has expanded trade, investment, and technology transfer opportunities benefiting developing countries. The UN, through agencies like the United Nations Development Programme UNDP and the International Labour Organization ILO, supports inclusive economic growth, poverty reduction, and sustainable development initiatives worldwide. Environmental challenges. Globalization has accelerated environmental degradation and climate change, threatening ecosystems and livelihoods globally. The UN promotes environmental sustainability through initiatives such as the UN Environment Programme UNEP and the Convention on Biological Diversity CBD, advocating for climate action, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable resource management. To human rights and social justice. Advancing human rights. Globalization has expanded awareness and advocacy for human rights globally, but it has also posed challenges such as labor exploitation, displacement, and cultural homogenization. The UN, through the Human Rights Council, OHCHR, and specialized agencies monitors human rights abuses, provides technical assistance, and promotes universal human rights standards to protect vulnerable populations and uphold dignity and equality. Social inclusion. Globalization has spurred cultural exchange and diversity, but has also exacerbated inequalities within and between countries.